What's going on, guys? Scopamar TV here, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the social pressures of being a man and what does it take to be a man. We're going to watch this clip. I'm not sure the name of this podcast, but it's a very interesting question that this lady posed to this older gentleman, and he's explaining that he was once laughed at for being a virgin in his younger days. Let's hear what he got to say.
Why does a man feel like he has to sleep with a lot of women to feel like a man?
It's promoted. I mean, I remember when I lost my virginity, I was with my cousin. We were driving to the store. He says, hey, I'm going to stop by my girlfriend's house. And I believe I was, 16 at the time. We go in the house and she has a little sister who was very cute. So he goes in the room and he's having sex, and me and her little sister are talking. When they come out, we get in the car. My cousin's driving. He says, hey, did you have sex with her? I'm like, no. He says, did you kiss her? I'm like, no, I just met her. He was like, you a virgin? I'm like, I haven't had sex before. When we pull up into his house where all my uncles were, my cousins and my mother, he yelled out, hey, Jason's a virgin. The entire house erupted in laughter. So when I looked around at my mother, she was laughing. It made me angry because here it is. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I thought this was.
Why does a man feel
the way? I didn't know I had to just have sex with a woman that I don't care about for me to be validated as a man. But that's the culture. That's like the initiation into manhood. As soon as I got back to Detroit, I called a friend who knew a girl who liked me, and I went over the house because I knew I could have sex with her real quick and I can get this stigma up off of me. I didn't even care about her. I had no emotions. I did it because this was what I was taught as a man. You're not a man if you're faithful to one woman, and you're not a man if you're a virgin. So that day I lost my virginity, my mindset shifted. All you can be is strong, provide, or be promiscuous. And this is your identity. We hide behind the suits, the cigars, the cars, the jewelry, the watches. Inside that home, there's a man depressed, on the edge, and possibly suicidal. The way I did.
Wow. A lot was said. But one thing I'm going to touch on first was he said that in order to feel validated, he would have to sleep with somebody that he did not care about. There are many men in this world that randomly runs through the city, runs through the countries. And that's all I'm going to say with that. Without any care in the world of who they're laying down with, they're just running through them, running through like it's a drive to the touchdown. You know what I'm saying? They do not care what's the person's name. Some of them don't even care how old this person is, you know, and it's all for validation from other men and sometimes even other women, because most of the time it seems as if women themselves do not want a man that's not experienced, even though some women knows that a man has a woman, she would still talk to him and even sleep with him. Now, when he talked about being laughed at, you know, for being a virgin, I think every young man at some point went through that. I definitely went through that. You know what I'm saying? Every young man goes through that phase when they're being clowned for, you know, not being able to get lucky. Some people get lucky in high school. Some people get lucky before high school. Some people get lucky after. But back in the days, you know, it wasn't like social media. So everybody was up in everybody's business even more because, you know, we had to talk to people. But the fact that his own mom laughed at him probably created a monster when it comes to sleeping around. Now, justifying sleeping around for validation from others, to me, is nonsense. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth the risk? Especially when a person grows up and understand all the consequences that can happen as a result of their action. i.e., babies, you know, diseases, all kinds of foolishness, you know what I'm saying? Allegations. You know, we see what's happening with Club Shay Shay and Shannon Sharp right now. So it's one of those things where seeking validation from others as a way to fit in is never a good thing. It's never a good thing. Take, for example, I've never in my life smoked weed. Never did. I hung around a lot of Jamaicans. I've gotten secondhand high, but I've never done marijuana. Never sat there and burned a whole spliff myself. And it made me an outcast among my peers because while they were doing it, I was just having my little sip of Hennessy and that was it. I never took any kind of substance other than some alcohol. You know, I drink my little drink, like I say, you know, beer or a cognac or something, but I've never done any drugs. But one thing I realized, they will kind of shun you because then it doesn't seem as if you're one of the guys, one of the stereotypical guys, you know, where you go around somebody before you even know their name, you got to ask, hey man, you got a lighter? You got a lighter? Hey man, you got a spliff? Hey, you got a cigarette? As a way to introduce yourself to them or to fit in. But then if you don't do these things, then it's like, what's wrong with this guy? Does he think he's better than us? It's a sick way of thinking. Now, what does this ultimately lead to? Let's think about it for a second, going to his point. The minute they laughed at him for being a virgin at the time, and he's saying that he went and slept with somebody that he didn't care about. This is the story for many men in today's world. Some of the times guys cheat, but what the woman that they're cheating on don't understand is that it's not even any feelings towards this new woman. It's just that they feel that they got to do it. Now, it often happens when these men do not have any hobbies, they don't have any purpose in life. So they seek happiness with other women because the one woman ain't doing it. They feel as if the more they get is the more of a man they become. And it's actually false. This narrative have been pushed on black people and even men in general because, you know, I'm going to say that white guys had Hugh Hefner, but this narrative have been pushed that men need multiple women in order to be happy, but it is a soulless life. It's a life where you have no soul. And the more you accumulate is the more you lose a piece of yourself. The more women you sleep with, or the more women you sleep with, is the more you lose a little bit of yourself. And it goes the same for women too. The more men they sleep with is the more they lose a bit of who they are. Because at some point you're going to just be doing it for the sport. You're not doing it out of the sake of that you like this person and you want to eventually be with this person. You're doing it for a fixation, you know, and you have guys that are in happily, you know, married home, but they themselves are not happy, you know, and they try to seek this extra woman as a way to fulfill that emptiness, and it's never ending. You have some people where they feel as if they get into a polygamy type relationship that will solve this issue, and it will not solve this issue, because once you get used to somebody's body, you're going to now look for the next thrill. So even if you have 5 women, you're going to need 6, you're going to need a 7, and ultimately you're just a lost human being. You're not even a human being at that point. You're just a lost person walking around. And all of this stems from the trauma of being laughed at. Not only that, it stems from seeking approval. The minute people understand that you come into this world by yourself and you're going to leave by yourself, and you should never do anything to please people but to please yourself first, then more than likely cheating won't be a thing. It will be something that you do because you want to do it, but it won't be something that you're doing to impress others. That's why, take for example, girls' trips, guys' trips. All those trips are eventually going to end up with somebody trying to impress the crowd. Somebody out of that group is going to try to impress the crowd. And no matter how much of an adult people are, they go on these trips. The child in them, the immaturity in them of just hanging around and have nothing to do will eventually come out, especially with alcohol involved. And they're going to try to impress the group. Not saying you can't go on your trips, but you got to be a free thinker, and a no is powerful. And you can use that no, but many people do not know how to use the no. A lot of guys don't want to upset the bros, and women definitely don't want to upset their sisterhood. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think that when they laughed at him, was it justification for him to now just throw himself to a random person? Personally, I don't think he should have done that, but the pain, we can't feel his pain. He felt his pain. And many young men go through these traumatizing situations. But eventually, we all wake up, we all grow up. But hit the comments, guys. Hit the like button. Until next time, Scope of Mart TV. I'm out.